Hello everyone, and welcome to the show where we delve into the strange, the unusual, and the downright baffling laws from around the globe. That's right, folks. Get ready to have your minds boggled because today we're counting down the top 10 most bizarre laws you won't believe exist. Now, we're not talking about some dusty old laws that haven't been enforced since the time of powdered wigs and monocle inspections. Oh no, these are real, in effect regulations that could land you in hot water in some corners of the world. You might want to brace yourselves, folks, because some of these are truly outlandish. So, buckle up, grab your passports. Not really, you can stay put. It's much safer that way. And let's embark on this journey into the wonderfully weird world of legislation, shall we? First up on our global tour of bizarre bylaws, we land in the famously pristine city-state of Singapore. Now, Singapore is known for its cleanliness, its efficiency, and apparently, its deep-seated aversion to chewing gum. Yes, you heard that right. In Singapore, chewing gum is strictly prohibited. And before you ask, no, this isn't some obscure, rarely enforced rule. This is a serious piece of legislation with serious consequences if you're caught sticking it to the man, so to speak. The ban was implemented in 1992 after the government decided enough was enough. Apparently people were sticking their used gum on sidewalks, on subway doors, under park benches, basically anywhere they could. And let's be honest, nobody likes encountering someone else's discarded chewing gum. It's a sticky, unsightly nuisance. So, the Singaporean government took decisive action, banning the import and sale of chewing gum altogether. The result? Well, Singapore is still as spotless as a surgical theater, and the gum-related offenses have plummeted. It seems sometimes a little bit of tough love is all it takes to keep things tidy. Next, we find ourselves in the land of stunning mountains, delicious chocolate, and surprisingly strict noise regulations, Switzerland. Now, the Swiss are known for their love of order and tranquility, but this next law takes things to a whole new level. Get ready for this, folks. In Switzerland, flushing your toilet after 10 p.m. is illegal in many apartment buildings. Yes, you heard me correctly. Apparently the sound of rushing water after a certain hour is considered an intolerable disturbance to your neighbors. I know what you're thinking. John, are you having a laugh? This can't be real, but I assure you, this is not a joke. The Swiss take their noise pollution very seriously. They even have specific regulations about lawn mowing, vacuuming, and even playing musical instruments at certain times of day. So, if you find yourself in Switzerland and nature calls late at night, you might want to hold it in until morning. Or, just be prepared to face the wrath of your noise-sensitive neighbors. And trust me, you don't want to mess with the Swiss when it comes to their peace and quiet. Hold on to your hats, folks, because our next stop is Italy, where we encounter a law that's not just bizarre but downright existential. In the charming villages of Falciano del Masico and Burolo, there's one thing you're expressly forbidden from doing: dying. You see, these towns have found themselves facing a rather unusual predicament, a dwindling population and a shortage of burial space. So what's a town council to do? Well, they decided to take matters into their own hands, passing laws that literally forbid residents from kicking the bucket. Now I know what you're thinking, John, how on earth do you enforce a law like that? And it's a valid question. It's not like the Grim Reaper is going to start checking IDs and issuing citations. The truth is, these laws are more symbolic than anything else. They're a way for these small towns to draw attention to their plight and hopefully encourage some action from higher authorities. But still, it's a pretty bold move to try and legislate death itself. Bonjour from France, the land of romance, fine dining, and apparently some very sensitive historical figures. Now, the French are known for their love of all things cultural and their fierce national pride. But there's one thing they take particularly seriously: the legacy of Napoleon Bonaparte. So seriously, in fact, that it's actually illegal to name your pig Napoleon. Yes, you heard that right. If you're a French farmer with a fondness for the name Napoleon and a penchant for raising pigs, you're fresh out of luck. This law, which dates back to 1804, was enacted to prevent any potential disrespect towards the former emperor. Apparently, associating the name Napoleon with a farmyard animal was deemed deeply offensive. Now, whether Napoleon himself would have been amused or mortified by this law is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure: this law is a testament to the enduring power of history and the lengths to which some countries will go to protect their national icons. G'day mates, and welcome to the land down under. Where the wildlife is deadly, the slang is indecipherable, and the fashion choices, well, let's just say they can be interesting. Case in point, in the state of Victoria, there's a little-known law that prohibits you from wearing hot pink pants after midday on a Sunday. Yes, you heard that right. If you're caught strutting your stuff in a pair of vibrant pink trousers after the clock strikes 12 on the Sabbath, you could be in for a world of trouble. Now, the origins of this law are a bit murky. Some say it was an attempt to curb public indecency, while others claim it was a way to target a specific group of flamboyant dressers back in the day. Whatever the reason, this law remains on the books, although it's safe to say, it's not exactly rigorously enforced these days. But still, it serves as a reminder that in Australia, even fashion choices can be subject to the long arm of the law. Right then, let's pop over to the UK, a land of charming accents, questionable cuisine, and some truly baffling legislation. And when it comes to bizarre laws, the UK is a veritable goldmine. Take, for instance, the Salmon Act of 1986. Now, this piece of legislation might sound like a joke, but I assure you it's very real. Under this law, it is illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. Yes, you heard that correctly. Apparently, the UK government was so concerned about the illicit trade of salmon that they felt the need to criminalize the act of looking even remotely dodgy while holding one. Now, what exactly constitutes suspicious circumstances is open to interpretation, but I imagine if you're caught sprinting down a dark alleyway clutching a salmon in a headlock, you're probably going to raise a few eyebrows. The point is, in the UK, even fish aren't safe from the watchful eye of the law. Konnichiwa from Japan, the land of the rising sun, incredible technology, and as it turns out, some rather strict health regulations. Now, the Japanese are known for their healthy lifestyles and their impressive lifespans. But did you know that in Japan, being overweight can actually get you in trouble with the law? Well, sort of. In 2008, Japan implemented what's known as the Metabo Law, which sets maximum waistline measurements for citizens. The goal was to address the growing problem of obesity and its associated health risks. Now, before you start picturing the streets of Tokyo swarming with waistline inspectors, let me clarify. The law doesn't actually punish individuals for exceeding the limits. Instead, it focuses on encouraging companies and local governments to implement weight loss programs and promote healthy living. Still, it's a pretty unique approach to tackling a public health issue, and it seems to be working as Japan continues to boast one of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world. Alright, let's hop on over to Canada, the land of friendly folks, frigid temperatures, and apparently some very specific rules about how much loose change you can use in a single transaction. You see, in Canada, there's a law called the Currency Act, which, among other things, limits the number of coins you can use to pay for goods and services. So, if you were planning on buying that gallon of maple syrup with a bucket full of pennies, you might want to think again. Now, this law isn't meant to be cruel or unusual punishment for people who enjoy carrying around copious amounts of change. It's actually a practical measure designed to prevent businesses from having to deal with an unreasonable amount of coins. After all, counting out hundreds of nickels isn't exactly anyone's idea of a good time. So, next time you're in Canada and you're feeling flush with coins, maybe stick to paying for smaller purchases. Sawasdee from Thailand, the land of smiles, stunning temples, and a deep respect for the monarchy. Now, in Thailand, there's one thing you should never ever do: step on money. And I'm not talking about figuratively throwing money away, I mean literally stepping on banknotes or coins. Why? Well, it all comes down to the image on the currency. You see, Thai banknotes feature portraits of the revered King of Thailand, and stepping on his image is considered a grave insult. It's a sign of disrespect not only to the monarchy but to the entire country. So if you happen to drop a few baht on the ground, be sure to pick them up carefully and avoid any accidental foot money contact. And finally, we wrap up our whirlwind tour of bizarre laws in Germany, the land of beer, bratwurst, and the Autobahn, a highway system legendary for its lack of speed limits. Now, on the Autobahn, you can put the pedal to the metal and let your car stretch its legs, but there's one thing you absolutely cannot do: run out of fuel. Yes, you heard that right. In Germany, it's illegal to run out of gas on the Autobahn. And before you ask, yes, this law is actually enforced. The reason? Safety, plain and simple. Running out of fuel on the Autobahn can cause a major hazard, leading to accidents and traffic jams. So, the German authorities take a very dim view of drivers who fail to keep their tanks topped up. So, if you're planning a road trip on the Autobahn, make sure you fill up regularly. And if you do see your fuel gauge creeping towards empty, pull over immediately. Your wallet, and your fellow drivers, will thank you. Well folks, there you have it, our whirlwind tour of the top 10 most bizarre laws you won't believe exist. From chewing gum bans to toilet flushing curfews, we've covered it all. So, what did you think? Which law did you find the most outlandish? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-boggling content from the wonderfully weird world we live in. Until next time, stay curious.